Okay, we're back to the layout board here, and the reason for that is you always want to go back and check to your work, and you can go back and check your measurements. So I know I've oversized my panel. We've got 11 inches here. I'm holding this on the 1. Remember, this is a more accurate way to measure. Doesn't matter that much on this. What I'm really wanting to know is the distance it's going to be inset into this border here. Now I've marked this about another 3/8 of an inch wider. And the reason for that is I could have probably made it only 1/4 of an inch, but I want to give it a little bit deeper cut there and get a little bit more of this panel in. Now you're probably not going to be sitting a 200-pound motorcycle engine on this, and if you do, your wife ought to slap you. Wives, I don't think you're going to do that. I trust you on that one. Anyway, this cutter is the one I'm going to be using to make this groove. This bearing is a 1/2 inch away from the edge of this cutter, so naturally it's going to make a 1/2 inch groove. Now, if I were to make this panel tight in here, it will cause problems. And the reason why is wood exerts tremendous amount of force whenever it's put tight into a situation like this and tighten a frame. You have to make provision for wood movement, otherwise it's going to blow the piece apart. Now, in this particular piece, we've got the grain running this way, but wood does not expand that much, if at all, on this direction, along its length. It does, however, expand along its width and contract, depending on humidity. Now, we live in temperature-controlled homes for the most part, so it's not quite as big of a deal, especially if this is kiln dried to 6 to 8% and you keep your house at whatever 40% humidity in the summer, and however that is. But back whenever they made furniture in the colonial days, or before we had air conditioning, that had to be something that was considered. And there were people who didn't consider it when they made their pieces, and actually those were the antiques that didn't last. What I'm going to do again is come over here with my trammel points, and I'll get back to this groove here in a minute. I need to find the center of this so I can make a circle on here of the outside dimension, and then I can cut it, or at least rough cut it, and then sand it to the line. This is 12 5/8, so I need 6 5/16. This is a 14. I'll go 7. Here again, I missed my mark a little bit, but I'll adjust it there. Okay, I'll move this aside. I've got my center point already done. Now, I was shooting for 3/8 over that. Again, I set this on the 1, come over here. I'm at 12 and about 7/16, which actually translates an inch less, 11 and 7/16. Now, as I said before, if I made this panel tight, it'll actually potentially blow the tabletop apart, because the wood force in the summertime absorbs enough moisture to just exert tremendous amount of force and blow the joints. So what we do is we undersize the panel, and I'm going to use another product here. You'll observe the name Spaceballs. No, this is not named after the movie, at least I don't think, back in the 80s, the spoof on the Star Wars film. I used to have some buddies that quoted Spaceballs. You probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, actually I think they still are my buddies. I just don't see them very often because they're up north. What this little rubber ball will do is take up the space. I've got it on the wrong side. It actually goes on this side of the line. We'll take up that space between where this cutter is going to cut and the edge of the panel. And as the panel expands and contracts, it will keep the panel from rattling and also keep the project from getting blown apart. This naturally is, since it's rubber, it's got some resiliency. It will squish and it will expand. And so what I'm going to do is dot these around here. I don't know how many I'll use yet. Probably, 3 and 3, and then I'll put maybe a couple on the ends. Like I said, I don't have to worry about the long way along the longitude of the trunk of the wood there, because it doesn't expand significantly that direction. So I'll bring this back over here. I know I want 11 7/16. Now, you math whiz kids will probably have the answer to that already. I know 5 1/2 will make 11. So if I set my point on this, actually this is backwards. I should do it this way. That's 11. 5 5/8 is 11 1/4. If I go 5 3/4, it's going to be 11 1/2. So I need to back that off a little bit. Now I'm just going to swing this and check it. All right. What did I do wrong here? It's a little short. And I broke my pencil. Try that one. That's a little bit long. And that's just right. Oops. Just right. I don't want to push too hard in here because I don't want to leave a point hole dug into the wood. By the same token, I've got to push hard enough so that it doesn't do like this and come out of round. There we go. It's a shy 7/16, but that doesn't matter. It's closer to 11 3/8, but that's good. And I'll just take this out here and cut it with the jigsaw.